Yo, what up, YouTube? It's Ra, and let me holler at you real quick. You can't replicate the past. You can't replicate the fun times you had in the past. You might still enjoy those things, but it's not going to hit the same as the first time. Understand that life comes in stages. You're supposed to move forward. You're supposed to keep moving forward. You're supposed to collect this data, and you're supposed to take it, and you're supposed to hyperanalyze all that and use it and apply it to your life to get better. You can still reminisce about those times, but there's nothing worse than staying in that time. There's nothing worse than staying in there and not leaving. You're letting the walls collapse on you. You're letting yourself stay in this dream world, in this dreamland where where you stay in the fun times, but in order to move forward and be better, you have to put in the hard work. You have to try to create something new. Even if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, at least you're actively putting something new to the game. You're adding something new. You can't stay in this like dreamland alternate reality where everything is like, made up of the memories of the old days. In the real world, when you leave that dream world, days, months, weeks, years, they're still happening. Life is still happening around you. And that's why you feel so far behind of everybody else, your peers. And then you start comparing yourself to your peers. They understood that it was time to leave the dream world. Those times are over. Work hard, play hard. You can still have fun. You can still enjoy things. It's not about putting yourself in a position where you're all like, oh, well, I'm older now, so I can't have fun no more. No, you don't have to be cynical. You don't have to be like, oh, fun's for children. No, it's not about that. It's about at a certain point, fun has to be on the back burner. And it's not about fun. It's just having this state of mind where it's all like you want to go back. People talk about nostalgia, but nostalgia is kind of like a gift and a curse, because it's all that callbacks, like when you're watching the movie and they have a callback to the original, that's cool. But it has to progress. If you're watching a franchise or watching a TV show and you're like, oh, I don't like the new season, I missed the old one. Well, those characters had to develop. That's why it's called character development. They had to develop into new people. The main character of season 1 ain't gonna be the same as season 5. And here's the thing. Why do you want them to be? Why do you want him or her to be the same person as season 1? You be complaining at the same time that, man, they're still the same. There's no development. This is the same thing on repeat. Same thing with an artist. Why do you want them to sound like the first album? It's their 4th album. You be complaining that they're just rehashing the same thing and everything sounds the same. So you see how when you're looking at others, you're able to see that they need to develop, but you're not willing to do the inner work and look at yourself and say, oh, I need to develop. But you or somebody will point fingers at other people and say, they need to develop. They need to develop. So do you. So do you. The worst thing you could do is be like, man, looking at everybody else around you and critiquing and nitpicking them. But you wouldn't do that to yourself. And if someone did that to you, you'd be upset. So you can't be in that position where you want to hyperanalyze everybody else. But when it comes to you, you're silent. You're stuck in the dream world. You're stuck in dreamland, The old folks used to call it La La Land. Get out of La La Land. You got to get out of there. There's nothing good there. You haven't retained anything. You haven't trained anything. You haven't obtained anything by staying in La La Land, by staying in the dream world. Why, you can't do that. It just doesn't work. And people around you are going to be looking at you like, whoa, you still on that? You still doing that? We've been off that because it was time to progress off that. Some things are fun for the time being, and eventually you have to move forward. Same thing when you're developing a relationship with somebody, whether it's romantic or platonic. Understand that maybe I used to, go to 7-Eleven at 3 a.m. and, get drinks and stay up all night and, watch favorite shows. But eventually it's like we have to mature and we have to understand that we are growing and interest change. Your interests change, the things that you want for your life change, your goals change, your aspirations change, and you can't be looking at your friend or your partner and be like, man, why are you so focused on that? Well, because they want their degree. They want to become a singer. They want to be an artist. They want something bigger than themselves. They want to create something and inspire something bigger than themselves. You allowing yourself to drift apart from that person because they want to be better It's just not cool. They're still the same person. You still love them. They're still them at their core. But understand that they're doing this because, yeah, it was fun, riding around the city and looking at the bright lights. That was fun, and we can still do that. But, you closed mouth don't get fed. You don't work, you don't eat. Understand that. And that's okay. They're still the same person and they still care for you too. But you're thinking of it as, oh, they're putting all this time into this. They don't care about me. That's not true. If you look within inside yourself, if you get out of La La Land, you'll understand that the reason why they're working so hard is because they care about you. That's making them a better person for you. So understand that you have to leave the dream world. It'll never hit the same. We can still go back to that when we need to. We can still go back to that. We could go back to that. But right now, that it's important that we put in that work. Nostalgia is a gift and a curse. Understand that we had our fill. We had our fun. But you'll have more fun when you actually obtain what you want to obtain. You'll feel so much better about yourself when you actually achieve what you want to achieve. But hey, it's Ra. Like, comment, subscribe if you're new and if you like. We here every day. And you got this, homie. It's already yours.